Welcome back. So in our previous videos, we have covered one-to-one and one-to-many Hibernate mapping. So in this video, we are going to cover our last mapping, which is many-to-many mapping. So in our previous videos, we have used three tables, which is profile, address, and user. We can use the same tables, but it's become a little easier. So that's why we will be introducing one more table. Our table structure is increasing because we have one table, then we have two tables, we have three tables. Now we have one more table, fourth table. And you will also notice that one more table will appear magically, which will be our fifth table, which we are not creating. But let's wait and watch how that fifth table will come. Now let's jump in and define our fourth table, which will be our role. So we are using user and role as our many-to-many relationship. So let's create our role entity, which will be a Java class, and then we will define it as an entity, and then we will define our table, and we will define the name, and the name will be, we are following our structure, and then we are going to define our variables or fields. We'll have our role name, and then our relationship variable. It will be a set of type user. We'll import our, and then we will create our getter and setter. Let us create our getter and setter. Okay, you can use Lombok for it, but as I said earlier, you can use, we'll come on Lombok later. So our getter and setter is done. Now what are we going to do is we are going to define our fields with the annotation. Role is nothing, it's just a normal variable, normal field, one to or many to many, and then we are going to define our map by, and variable name will be roles. So our role entity is done, and we have defined our many to many annotation, and we are used map by, which is roles. Now we need to define our roles inside user table. You can see that we have one to one. Now we will be having many to many relationship. The first thing we'll do is we'll define our variable, and then we will define our annotation. Private, this will be also set. We need to import role, and then roles equals to new, and then we need to import our set. Okay, so after we have done the import, we need to define, annotate it with many to many, and then we need to define a new annotation, which is join, not column, join table. Okay, and then in this we have to define certain fields which are name. So we can define name as our architecture, a row prefix with the app, and then we will define user underscore role, and this is our magic table. Okay, and we can actually no need to define, but I will define it for us too. Relationship. Okay, no need to write relationship, but I'm just writing it so that it's easier for you to understand and identify the difference. Okay, it's okay, no issues. We have a lot of memory. Now we can use our join column field, and we need to add define join column, and then we need to define our column name, which is user ID, the underscore ID, and then we need to define our inverse, meaning to say the column which will be used inversely. That is join column, and then we need to define name, which will be role, because it is inverse, so it has to come from the role ID. Okay, it's like a two-way field. This is from the going one, and this is from the coming one, and it's like a, you have to understand, like a source and like a destination thing, request, a kind of a response thing. Now we need to define one more thing, which is our getter and feather, because we have added new thing. So let us quickly import our getter and feather for the new field which we have just now added, which is roles, and then we need to define our add method, public void add role, and then we need to role, quickly define our role method. This method behaves the same as setter and get, but it's a set because then we need to use add rather than using set. Rules dot add, and then role, and then we need to use map it role dot get user dot add this. Okay, so once we have added this, and now we have added our rule, so now we can, okay, we can run our service. We will start the server and then I'll run our service and see what will happen. So now this is our diagram, which is reflecting all the three tables joined to each other, and this is our records. Now let us change to something else, and then let us just amend the records, and then when we start the server, you will see that, okay, so we have amended the records, and then I think we need to do one more thing, but let us, where is our service? Okay, service layer. Okay, so we are calling the same method. Okay, because we are not saving role. Actually, we can fire the service. We can start the server. Okay, let us start the server first. Once we start the server, okay, let us start the server first, and then we are going to showcase that. Okay, we are starting the server, and you can see that right now there are three tables. So server is getting started. Okay, perfect. So our server is started, and now what are we going to do is we will come back to our, we will see the what is the structure. Okay, so you see we have 5 tables now. The one which we have defined is our entity, role entity, and the one which we have not defined as an entity, but this is the relationship table, so it is coming automatically 5th table. So you can see this is the one magic table. As I said, right, a table will be created by string to maintain the relationship between user and the role table. So now what we can do is we will, any other, this role is empty because we haven't inserted anything yet, and user we already have a record, and this is also will be empty because there is no relationship between them. But we can do one thing is we can open that diagram again and see how it's showing it to us. Perfect. So you can see, right, that this is our old one. If I close this one, so this diagram will disappear. So this is for the reference, so that we can see what happened after we have started our server. So let us hide the unnecessary detail for now. Okay, so this is our all three tables. Okay, we have, okay, we can keep, okay, yeah, you see the relationship, you can see the relationship between user and you focus on the highlighted part, user, app user table and app user role relationship table. This one had a relationship and then this table have a relationship. So your role has a relationship with this table. They are connected, they are connected. And now because user was connected with the profile table, and then let it make a little bigger. Yeah, okay. Then profile is connected to user, then user is connected to profile, and then profile is connected to address. So see, it is growing and it's becoming nicer or more complex, you could say that, you could put in that way. So from one table we have achieved a lot of things in here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel. Okay, so now what because right now we haven't saved any information, the table is empty. So now let us run this table. Let us first create our query and fire our, so this is empty. Okay, and this table will be app underscore user underscore role underscore. Okay, now let us run this one. Okay, this is also empty. So now what we will do is we are going to fire our API. But I know there is an issue because we haven't mapped our role yet, because role has to come from somewhere. Okay, so now let us run it and let us see what will happen. Okay, we know why this issue is happening, so we will ignore this issue for now. I'm going to cover this in upcoming videos. Okay, we know this issue. If you haven't watched my previous videos, you can go and watch that why this issue is happening. We have fixed this issue in our previous videos, but there are ways to fix this issue. So now let us see what is in our table. So you can see that our role is still empty, our relationship is still empty, but we do get our value in our user table because we have inserted a record. Okay, this got inserted, but nothing got inserted over there. So how, what are we going to do? Because anyhow we need to map the value and we need to save the records basically. So stop of a server will stop, and then we will come to our user service, and then what are we going to do is we are going to simply create our object, and then we will define our role. Okay, and now what are we going to do is we are going to, because we are not taking roles from our API, so we can simply define in here. Okay, because we can also use it from our AP request payload, but for now we are just keeping it keep simple, because you can also do it by yourself, add a variable in our Pojo and then insert it from the payload, but that's fine. We'll add our role and then we'll, okay, now because we need to save role in our role entity, but how can we do that? We don't have connection from user table to role table so that it can save the record. We are using it to save via user repo, and user repo is going to only save inside user table, not in our role table. Okay, so in that case what we need to do is we need to create one more repo, which will be our role repo, which will be tied to our role entity. So we'll create role repo SIDOY role repository, and this is an interface. So we will interface, and then we will extend to GPA repo, and then we are going to just copy paste, and then we will just simply define our role, and simple, that's it. So now we have our role entity, and then what we need is we need to inject it private final role repo, and then We use that name, and then what are we going to do is we are going to do constructor injection. So our role entity is added, and then now we can save our role into role table and pass our roles. Okay, so now when are we going to run this application? We need to start the application. Application is getting started. Okay, application is started, and you can see nothing happens in here because it is still empty, and this one is also empty. So there is no impact. So now the impact will happen after we change the value in here. Let it keep it this way. Okay, fire our API. Okay, so now what are we going to do is we will come back to our table and see the magic happens. Perfect. So our role is inserted into our role table, and now we will see the relationship table. Now what are these two things? These two are the IDs of the user and the role. So now we will go back to our user table to confirm that this is correct or not. So as you can see, the ID of the user is 4. Let me make it a little bit. If you cannot see, yeah, now it is okay. If you can see now, the ID is 4. So make it bigger. Okay, now it is bigger. Okay, so now you can see the ID is 4, and then we are going to call our relation, and the ID of role is 1 because this is only one record inserted, and the ID is 1 in here. You can see the ID, and now so you can see ID is 402 and ID is 1 mapped to the this table. Now we can insert one more record. Okay, and then what are we going to do is we're going to change it to 6 because we are just comparing the ID. So let us, I think our ID is also printed in here, and CC ID is also printed in here. This is something else, but anyhow. Okay, so let us insert it. It is 403. Now we will see our relationship table. It will become 403 and ID is 2 because it is incremental. So yeah, and we have second row added, which is 403, and then 403. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you so much.